You're listening to the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. Dallas Wings, you want it, you got it. You got the number one pick, what you gonna do? Who's you gonna be your coach? We're gonna break that down and more today on the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. The Dallas Mavericks, you want it, you got it. You wanted the legendary. You got the first pick in the draft, what you're gonna do and who you're gonna hire. And with Paige Bueckers being number one, let's cut to the chase and let's just get it in. Here's a scenario I'm going to tell you. The Dallas Wings should hire Geno. Should hire Geno. No doubt about it. And here's the deal. Geno's done it. There's going to be a lot of stoppage. Could be a lockout. Who knows? But he's run the course at Connecticut. I mean, there's not any more Geno can do. And when you look at this thing, I'll take you back. And why do I say you need to do that? Well, Dallas, you're no stranger to this, right? Because you got somebody else that was a little bit, half cocked up in there and had a crazy mind, but had some success, right? That's Bill Lambier. So I'm not saying deja vu, but let's get to the chase, really, because you got Paige Bueckers and you got an opportunity to. Now, here's not only opportunity, but let me put it in a different way. If Geno took the job of the Dallas Wings, it would change the WNBA forever. It would change the WNBA forever. Now, have college coaches done that? Yes, 100%. And you have to look at it collectively and say, what would it do for the league, right? Because you got unrivaled too. But it looks like this thing may be swinging on both sides of the fence. And folks, just to tell you what I got in the mix for you, working and in communication with Phenom Basketball America, which is a global brand of basketball. CEO Joe Keller, we're in communication and looking to see what we could do because we want to give you the best access we have, right? And then I'm also going to be in communication. I can't say the name, Miss Irving, Shatila Irving, who actually manages and is the agent for Kyrie Irving through my nephew, who was from Dorsey High School, and my uncle was Val Carter, went to Dorsey High School. But nevertheless, his future wife, or I just say partner now, but future wife is Holly. And I'm trying to get this thing right where the WNBA players, we get the access, we get to hear from them because I think we got a little bit of imbalance in the media as far as how their communication, what's going on, what's workouts happening. And I want to be able to bring you the truth. So there's some things behind the scenes that I'm working on. But let's get back to Geno. Geno can get it done, and the Dallas Wings, you wanted it. What did the Wings do? A lot of people say, well, they have a coach. No, Trammell was a coach, and she was fired. So they pulled the trigger. And what do you got? You got Greg Bibb, right? Greg Bibb is the operating owner. Looks like you got a general partnership that's formed. However, getting into it, getting in depth, so they pulled the trigger prior to getting the first pick in the draft. So I'm just kind of backing up, connecting the dots. And that's what led me to think, okay, you could have a lockout. Things could change. But what about Geno? What about Geno being the head coach? And what about Geno coming into the WNBA and bringing in Paige Bueckers and coaching her, right? I mean, it doesn't, a lot of coaches have done it. I mean, Rick Pitino's come over. I mean, a lot of college coaches have done it. A lot of college coaches have crossed over to the NFL and coach. Why not Geno? And when you look at it, you got to say to yourself, okay, what are we trying to do? We're trying to build the league, right? And you already have Caitlin Clark. There's no doubt about it. I mean, everybody knows we got Caitlin. This was an interesting pose because I want to tell you this relationship between Caitlin and Paige Bueckers, and is there love or what really is going on with them two? These two have got a battle that's deeper than you want to believe, right? Because it can't be but one queen. Can't be but one queen, guys, and you got to figure out who's going to be that queen. And I want to get to this pose because I want you to see something. But the Dallas Wings have got a superstar, right? I mean, you're talking about somebody that's ready for the bright lights. Okay, you see the bright light she's standing in now. So when you get to doing this, this is the pose here. And this one struck me because this is how competitive these two are. I want you to look at this, right? Now, who's saying what, and who was the originator of this, and who's actually the strongest, right? Because these two really are just battling it out. Eventually, they're going to have to meet on this court, and I think Geno's going to be a part of that, right? Just digest on that for a minute. I want to get to the point because the profile coaches are going to change the game forever. There's no doubt about it, right? But you got to have somebody that can coach Paige Bueckers, right? And so and with the owner Greg's going to make the decision that he needs to make. There's no doubt about it. But when you have two that are tied at the hip, and Geno's been watching this, and the way I'm trying to understand their unrival, how they're going to bounce it back and forth. But at the end of the day, this would answer the question, right? Because I don't have a gatekeeper. So I'm like, come on, let's be honest. I mean, I know what you say about the college, and I know you've been in college. I know you've done college, and we all know you. I mean, there's not enough room. I mean, if you looked at Geno's trophy case, right? I mean, it can stretch 3 miles. So, is there anything else that Geno can accomplish, right, in the NCAA? I mean, you're Hall of Fame, right? But with the taste of coming in the WNBA and really, really, really grow the women's game, right? Really grow the women's game. I tell you this, folks, and I'm going to give it to you differently because I want to look at it differently. And I want to look at it because partly what we do here on the Money Mike Syndicated Radio podcast, we're powered up by Fanatics, but we're also powered up now by YouTube. We got the affiliate in there. And folks, I like to shop and bring you the top selling brands that I see. I do the research. It'll be in there for you. Different products you can purchase. And yes, it does help support the Money Mike Syndicated Radio podcast. Christmas is coming. I got some neat Yukon things in there, so shop till you drop. But let's get back to it and let's talk about Geno, right? Because Geno can really elevate the WNBA, right? And you want to put somebody at the board, you want to put somebody at the head, you want to put somebody at the seat and say, look, here's what we can do to be successful. Geno would not only be a coach, Geno would be an asset, a plausible asset, okay, to the WNBA. Okay, he's got a lot of players in there. And that's why I tell you, Don Staley would be a plausible asset, right? You got Lisa Bluter. You got a lot of coaches that are coaching other than the top 4 or 5, right? That can be plausible assets and come in from a corporate enterprise business standpoint and work directly with the CEOs that are out there, right? Because when you're dealing with the CEOs, they're looking and they've got a mission statement, they got an alignment of corporate values, and they want to align to build a partnership to be super strong, right? So there's a couple really, really magnets, or I'd call big time, as far as sports merchandise, and this is where this all goes because this is where the WNBA needs to get because the NIL has elevated the merchandise sales, right? So what do the college have? More money to present the university in the best spotlight it can. And that's what Geno could do for the WNBA. And coaching, well, that's not hard. Geno doesn't have to he doesn't lose any sleep on coaching. I mean, he can come in with every game plan possible, right? But you got to look at the UConn and the history of UConn and the national championships at UConn. I'll tell you this, there's something that goes on at UConn. They do it better than anybody else, right? And there was something that was going on at Duke. That's why I was saying, okay, well, if Geno didn't coach women's basketball, where would Geno be coaching? Geno would be coaching either at Duke, North Carolina, right, for the men, because he can coach the men as good as he can coach the women. I just felt he had so much success in women's basketball that they didn't want to let him go, right? And he's not the average coach. Really, I mean, he's a CEO. He's a CEO, and he's elevated UConn women's basketball to a level that nobody else has done before. He will un he will take Unrival and take it to a level that nobody else has ever seen before. And if the WNBA was smart, they would align this so that Geno could be your first high-profile coach, and you're going to get other college coaches to follow, but you have to align with the brands because at the end of the day, they have to be paid for what they do. And I want you to digest that just for a minute because the whole premise here is how does the WNBA make more money to pay more money to the players? Just take a moment on that. And if the league is truly about what it's saying it wants to do, that would be the best move right there. Now, because you do have a battle, right? And there's no doubt about it. I mean, you got Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever fans. I'm telling you, you got the most radical fans in the WNBA. Now we went back and forth to racism, but that's not here nor there. That I'm just saying you got two individuals. Who's the strongest? Who's the best? Now that's the first two, right? But then you got to get better and better and better. You got to move forward to who are the next two. But to make the league the best that you could be, Geno in the driver's seat here would make that happen. Geno has enough trophies, unless he just wants to grow more dust in his office. Okay. I mean, he's as big as the president of the university. Okay. The value he's brought to the program. And now, he's mentored somebody else to carry the legacy along. Right. So at the end of the day, yes, there's no doubt. I mean, can they afford him? No, but he's not looking to be given the money. He has plenty of money. He's looking what Gino wants to do with this game, folks. And I want you to understand really where I'm going and how I'm breaking this down, because you're talking about somebody that's just been in the game. I mean, he's been in the game. He knows the game, but he's a CEO, right? And what does that mean? Okay, obviously, and I always talk about the 5, 6 principles of it. You're gonna have revenue, expenses, you're going to have client image. Okay. You're going to have safety, security, and stability. That's how corporate America runs. That's coming from Mike Walker, AT&T National Business Manager. And I could definitely sit down with John Stanky and have a conversation of the next 3 to 5 years. Okay. Of the partnership with AT&T, okay, and the WNBA, and the partnership with AT&T and the Olympics that's coming to Los Angeles. And this is the biggest move, because when the Olympics comes in and the women's basketball comes in to play in the Olympics in Los Angeles, that will be the biggest stage that we can prepare for the WNBA to become a global game. It's a 4-year plan that we have to have the players. So when you look at Candace Parker signing Kalina Smith, you got to understand all of these pieces on the chessboard. As I talked to you about Paige Bueckers, I talked to you about Caitlin Clark. Okay, I'm talking about pieces that are on the chessboard that it's extremely valuable, that Team USA represents like never before. And the women's game will be the biggest showcase that anyone has ever seen. The stage will not be any bigger than it will be for the Olympics. And we must put the players in place to do it. And to do it right, okay, you need Geno. Okay, this is why I'm saying Geno, as much as he has done for UConn, there's no doubt Geno can be the one that takes Team USA to where it needs to go. And this is the Money Mike Syndicated Radio podcast. You will hear me say a lot of things, but I'm telling you now, I'm going to get you the access. I'm working on it. And what does that mean? I've got Phenom America, Joe Keller. It's got a history, and I go way back 2005. So you got to look at these things. How do I want to get you the access? I'm communicating. My cousin, Nigel Carter, who is an NBA agent. You also have Kyrie Agent and his partner, future wife. I call fiance. He doesn't necessarily like me to say it, but I say it anyway. Holly, I'm going to get you the access you need. And my job is communication with the players. And there's other individuals who are much better in the relationship and to get it done. That's why I talk about Melissa Smith. How can we make that work? How can I make it better? So I'm not looking to get into a battle. I'm looking to say, this is the WNBA. There's no doubt about it. This is the WNBA, right? And you gotta do the right thing. In the game is a game, right? So you got the Dallas Swings, right? You got Greg Bibb, no doubt about it. Greg knows the game and knows what his plan is and what is he trying to do. For Dallas, you never forget Bill Lambier, okay, because it was what it was. You replaced Lisa Trammell, right? So you made your move. UConn is the biggest game in town. And Geno, he can take you to another level. You got Caitlin, yep, Iowa, and you got UConn. Them two, man, it's a bigger battle than you think. All right, but the game is a game, and here's the chess master. If you want to take the WNBA to the next level, then Geno is the man to do so. Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. We're going to see you soon. And we promised you this. We're going to get you a little bit more access.